Yeah.
I also wanted to, let's see, we were talking about the biggest, biotech. They push this idea that their technologies are the only way to feed a growing world.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about the sustainable farming that you're talking about and the foods, how can we debunk what they're saying and prove that this is the right way to go about things? And what are the myths associated with biotechnology being able to feed the world?
Well, and I did do a blog post about this with information that I got from the Institute for Responsible Technology. So I'll just talk about a couple of those points, and then, anyone that wants to can go online and read these. They're there, and they're valid, and there's a lot of research that backs these up.
I'll post the link below the video. So.
Absolutely, that would be great. Yeah. So one of the things is that the biofuels that are being created as a result of the genetic technology are a major cause of increased prices of food, which I think every single woman and man that runs a household is totally aware of all the increases in the prices of food. It's just getting to be ridiculous. I don't even know how anybody can well, and I'm pretty sure that the local food is being affected by this too, but I think processed foods are probably more affected, and especially because people don't look at processed foods and go, oh, because what you're doing is you're buying a box of something, right, or a can, and you're not looking at the net cost of these foods. You're actually, what you're seeing is like 16 ounces of something, or you're seeing 12 ounces, and what you're doing is you're not realizing how much per pound you're paying for these foods. So
that's a really good point.
Right. So if you're comparing, and there's actually this really great graph that a farmer shared with me. I forget the name of it. I think it's Windy Ridge Poultry. He's over, I think, somewhere in the Midwest, maybe a little closer to the east. And he has a chart that shows the cost of processed foods per pound, and they compare it with, they only have one organic, natural food on there, but that doesn't matter because, that food is kind of it's like a good example of what you would spend on, a piece of organic food. So what they have is a whole chicken on there, and I think the price per pound is like $4.99 or something like that. And if you buy an organic chicken, or even like a pasture-raised chicken, which is actually preferable because a lot of the organic chickens are still getting fed, and soy and corn and stuff like that, and they're still in feedlot environments. So if you're paying that much for an organic chicken that's coming from a feedlot, you're getting a rip off, and that's why you have to pay attention. So if you get a pasture-raised chicken for $4.99 a pound, and then you look at a bag of potato chips, which costs about $8 something a pound, look at what you're getting for your food. It's a really astounding diagram, and I think it's something that everybody should see this. And this farmer actually has this diagram at his stand when he goes to the farmer's market every week, and it's on my blog too.
Oh, it is on your blog?
It is.
Okay, and I'll post it on our Facebook and our website. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a really
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a startling comparison.
Wow.
And so, yes, I understand that there are people who are on a budget. I've been on a budget for a long time. A lot of people are struggling to pay their bills and to eat healthy food. But I think that if you think about the price per pound that you're paying for all these processed foods that are in your cupboards that are making your life so much more convenient, and then you look at the foods that you can buy, the whole foods that you can prepare at home, you're going to get so much more for your money. Period. So yeah, the increase of the increased food price of food that's been affecting all of us is a lot of that has to do with the biofuels that are being used for genetically modified foods. Another one is that the GM crops do not produce yield potential. Studies show that the most widely grown crop, which I think a lot of people know what that is, it's the soy crop, has actually suffered reduced yields. And soy is in so much of the food that we eat. People don't even realize it.
We're soy and corn fed.
Yeah. And so are our animals.
Yeah.
So.
There's been recently in the Midwest also yield decreases because of superbugs and superweeds.
That's right.
And so we're getting these bugs and weeds that are resistant to Roundup, which is sprayed on all GM crops. And that's ruining their entire field. Some farmers have to abandon their entire field this year.
Right, and that costs money. To have to relocate or to just start another operation somewhere else.
And it costs money to increase your pesticide use as well, which is what they're doing. And now they're adding more and more pesticides. It's not just going to be Roundup with glyphosate in it. It's going to be Roundup with all these other things that have to be combined to combat these super weeds.
Yep.
But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, and plus all the health costs that are associated with that.
Right.
Which are, off the charts.
And environmental costs.
Yep.
There was one more, the third one?
Yeah, so, I think, people don't realize that genetically modified crops actually increase the use of pesticides. And, we just said that, it increases the costs everywhere, health, environment.
I read that we use 100 million pounds of Roundup a year. That's just Roundup alone.
I believe it.
100 million pounds, and guess what? It doesn't go away.
No.
It doesn't just evaporate and disappear and be done. It goes into our soil, into our food, into our bodies.
Yeah, I think people think once it gets sprayed, you don't have to think about it anymore. But the real cost, is of what happens when that stuff has been finished being sprayed and to deal with what happens later.
Jenny and I, are concerned with is primarily GMOs, but the more that we learn about this and go on spreading awareness, we're finding that the use of Roundup and pesticides and herbicides is actually a really scary factor that we didn't consider before. And I think that people also need to be aware of the amount of pesticide use that we use in our agricultural system.
Absolutely.
It's startling. So I just love your perspective and everything that you talk about. I love
I appreciate
your
that.
blog and that you spread awareness. I really hope that we can collaborate again in the future.
I do too.
I'm sure we will.
It's really good to have local people to share this
team together.
It is. It's great.
Yeah. Really quickly, Thanksgiving is next week. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, it's coming up, isn't it?
And we've bought a free-range organic turkey from a local farmer, and I'm going to Ashton back home to see my parents, and I'm going to take some local produce. What did you guys do for this Thanksgiving year? What are you guys going to do?
Well, it's been kind of up in the air because we're supposed to be moving soon. Probably we'll be moving somewhere in the local area, but still not totally sure. But I did order a turkey from Matthew's All Natural Meats. They have a booth at the market. They're located in Weiser, which is kind of near the border of Idaho and Oregon, for those who are watching that maybe are not familiar with the geographical area. And we got a turkey from them last year, so I think it's going to be a really good meal because the one we had the year before was great. And what I do with my turkey, besides eat it for Thanksgiving and freeze different parts of it, is that I take the carcass and I make soup out of it. And it has, I think, even better flavor than chicken, and I love chicken. So I can usually get anywhere after we feed our family and friends or whatever. I usually get anywhere from 5 to 6 meals out of the rest of the turkey. Because we get like maybe between 15 and 20 pounds or something like that. So it's actually kind of cool. We were actually talking about that on Facebook yesterday. All these different people were commenting on the turkeys they were buying and how, like, this one woman, she said she had 6 people in her family and they get 10 meals out of it.
Wow.
So I may need to be taking some lessons from her.
Yeah.
And stretching my food out a little bit more.
That's awesome. So yeah, Matthew's All Natural Meats, they have come out and stated that they use non-GMO feed.
Yes.
I know they're big proponents of that. So
yeah.
That's one outlet. And I think that I will also post a few more places where you can get free-range organic turkeys for this holiday season, because I think that's really, really important.
It is. It is. I know Morning Owl Farm, I think they have pasture-raised turkeys as well. They have like a co-op where they do a whole bunch of different kinds of food, and they let you deliver. They deliver, or you pick up like once a month. You get a whole bunch of different kinds of food. You get produce and meat. So they do that, and I know there's other ones that do too.
Yeah,
so.
There's lots of farms in the valley. It surprised me actually how many sustainable farms and organic farms that are in the Treasure Valley, and people that are on the same page.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
It's wonderful. It really is.
Is there anything else that you'd like to end this interview with?
Well, I guess I just want to, again, encourage people to buy from their local farmers and, resist thinking that you don't have time to do it and that it's not important, because it most certainly is, and especially for the next generation that's coming after us. It's really important to be connected to the food that you eat, and it's really important to know where it comes from, and to get involved in your community and have that relationship with those people, rather than buying these nameless, faceless products off of a shelf that, well, that's the other thing is, if you doubt whether the local food system is important, just consider all of the food recalls that are constantly in the news. Practically every week you're going to see another food company. We just recently had, I guess maybe it was back in July, Cargill, which is probably one of the largest meat producers in this country. They did a 36 million pounds recalled of ground turkey.
Yeah.
So, just going from one publicly traded company to another, and thinking, well, that one's not been on a recall list for 6 months or a year, so maybe it's safe. Don't think like that, because eventually those foods are going to make people sick too, and the only way to get out of that, that vicious cycle is to support the local food. That's it.
Yeah, and I do want to add, what Cargill did in response to that to help consumers feel safe about this, that this wouldn't happen again, that they wouldn't have another recall. They added 2 or 3 more washes to their ammonia wash. They now wash their meat in not just ammonia, but 2 or 3 other washes to ensure that it's clean and safe.
Yeah, that is really, I already knew that they were washing their meat, not just them, but, Smith and Tyson do the same thing, and the fact that is supposed to guarantee, a safe product to consume. Yeah. It's just, I don't understand that, but
me either. But anyway, yes, moving on. Buying local. I love that is your that's the message you love to give, is buying local, because that's what GMO-free Idaho is all about as well, and supporting your sustainable community. So I love that about you.
Thanks.
I'm so glad we did this interview.
Me too.
Thanks for helping us raise awareness about GMOs.
Absolutely.
One Idahoan at a time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate being here.